Hello students. The topic of ESP number 3 is electricity. So let's start with the definitions first. What is electricity? First of all, let's say that electricity is something that we all cannot live without. I would say that it's a major driver of today's activities, and without it, the life as we know it, as well as the world's economy, would definitely crumble. The term is used to refer to the presence as well as the flow of electric charge. Through electricity, we are able to transmit energy that we use to perform various tasks, such as lighting, running machines, different devices at home, etc. The term electricity, on most occasions, is actually confused by the word electrical energy. However, they are completely different terms, it should be pointed out. In simple terms, electricity is the medium of transmission for electrical energy, just like water is the medium of a transmission medium for the wave energy. Let's start with the basics. The first task that we are going to work on today is a very short text. The point of the text is to revise, let's say, something that we all already know from physics as well as chemistry, even from primary school, and name the parts that will be mentioned according to this picture that we have. All substances, solids, liquids or gases are composed of one or more of the chemical elements. Each element is composed of identical atoms. Each atom is composed of a small central nucleus consisting of protons and neutrons, around which orbit shells of electrons. These electrons are very much smaller than protons and neutrons. The electrons in the outermost shell are called valence electrons, and the electrical properties of the substance depend on the number of these electrons. Neutrons have no electric charge, but protons have a positive charge, while electrons have a negative charge. In some substances, usually metals, the valence electrons are free to move from one atom to another, and this is what constitutes an electric current. So, before you complete fill in the blank spaces in this picture, I would just like to point out that the very important thing is to use these bold expressions and copy them in your notebooks, because these are key vocabulary items that you should master in each of these activities. So, if you need, you can read the text again. And of course, according to the picture, number 1, this is electron, number 2, proton, and number 3, this is neutron. So the first task that I would like you to complete for your homework refers to this text that we have just read, and read it again if necessary and complete the sentences with the missing information. Pay attention to the phrases given in bold in the text and copy them in your notebooks, in your personal glossaries. Okay, moving on. Last year we've discussed a lot conductors and the conducting ability of different materials, and we're going to work on a listening activity related to it. And before we do it, there's an interesting picture that can show you the increasing conducting ability of different materials, starting from rubber, glass, wood, dry air, insulators, the category of semiconductors, silicon, germanium, and conductors, water, carbon, mercury, iron, aluminium, copper, and silver. Hopefully you are familiar with the terms for all of these materials. If not, please revise. We did this in more detail last year. And now we are going to work on a listening activity. It is a text about conductors, semiconductors, and insulators. So please again pay attention to the words given and phrases given in bold. Dakle, provodnici, poluprovodnici, izolatori. Your task is to listen very carefully and jot down the words that you think are appropriate for the blank spaces in the text.
Unit 4. Exercise 3. Electricity consists of a flow of free electrons along a conductor. To produce this current flow, a generator is placed at the end of the conductor in order to move the charge. Conductors. Electricity needs a material which allows a current to pass through easily, which offers little resistance to the flow and is full of free electrons. This material is called a conductor and can be in the form of a bar, tube or sheet. The most commonly used conductors are wires, available in many sizes and thicknesses. They are coated with insulating materials such as plastic. Semiconductors. Semiconductors such as silicon and germanium are used in transistors, and their conductivity is halfway in between a conductor and an insulator. Small quantities of other substances, called impurities, are introduced in the material to reduce the conductivity. Insulators. A material which contains very few electrons is called an insulator. Glass, rubber, dry wood and plastic resist the flow of electric charge, and as such, they are good insulating materials.
So, if you need to listen to it one more time, please do it. If not, let's check your ideas. So here's the key to this exercise. Number 1 is flow of free electrons. Number 2 is a generator is placed at the end of the conductor in order to move the charge. Number 3 is resistance. Number 4, conductors. So most commonly used conductors are wires, available in many sizes and thicknesses. Number 5, insulator. So silicon and germanium are used in transistors, and their conductivity is halfway in between a conductor and an insulator. Okay. Number 6, small quantities of other substances called impurities are introduced in the material to reduce the conductivity. Reduce, the opposite would be to increase. Number 7, a material which contains very few electrons is called an insulator. So glass, rubber, dry wood and plastic. So after completing this exercise, the aim of it actually is for you to learn how to define these 3 terms using simple definitions, let's say, as well as to acquire some new vocabulary provided in this text. So moving on, the homework is related to this listening activity that we've just had. And your task is now to read the completed text and decide if the sentences are true or false. And what is very important, if it's false, then you should write the correct explanation, the correct sentence. Okay? One more activity within this lesson. It's reading. Here's the text about the types of current and the units and measures used in relation to electricity, something that again you probably already know, or most of you already know. I would point out that it's very important to practice, remember and listen carefully to the pronunciation of these units. So mentioned in the text we have volts, named after the Italian physicist Alessandro Volta. Then amperes and coulomb. Pay attention to this coulomb. because we have a silent B in the end, it is not pronounced. Okay, as well as kilowatt, which is similar to the pronunciation in our language. Okay, so after reading the text and again paying attention to the words and phrases given in bold, your task for homework 3 would be to read it again and complete the following table, actually to provide units of measurement, and there's the explanation what do they measure, and of course you should be able to talk about these units of measurements in English. Okay, so when you complete all of the exercises and do all the tasks given for the homework, it would be the best idea to write down all of the words and phrases from the lesson and do it in your notebook, in your glossaries, your personal glossaries. So try to provide explanation in English or to provide just a direct translation for you to practice it or get back to it again before the upcoming test. Thank you very much.